One left to go here at Castelletto di Branduzzo. It's the big one, the road racing rocket ships, the KZ2 125cc gearbox class out on the track. And guess what? It stopped raining. The track is still soaking wet though. So we get set to go racing with the class that everyone wants to see, KZ2. Anthony Abbas to start on pole position. The Frenchman in the Soddy cart with the Brit Jordan Lennox Lamb. That's him on the right of your screen, the number 59 Birrell Art. The first time in some time we haven't seen an all OTK front row. That's Benjamin Tornquist on screen, the number 51 CRG cart. Soddy cart versus Birrell Art. It's an all OTK, I'm sorry, I'll just say Tony cart. It's an all Tony cart, second row of the grid with Marco Ardigo and the super impressive young Luca Corberi. That's Stan Pex in the Intrepid, very last row of the grid. He had some bad luck in the pre-final, but he's been quick throughout the weekend. As the Vega Grid girls, they don't actually need the umbrellas now because thankfully it stopped raining. It's still only about 8 degrees. It's cold and it's still very, very wet. Two formation laps for this KZ2 class, then they will come to a stop as they are now, albeit with the engines running. 4 red lights. When they go out, they will accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in around about 3 seconds flat. Into turn 1. You can see Anthony Abbas, number 44, wearing the glasses under that clear visor, the young Frenchman. He's a super, super talent. Winner of the Scoosa Super Nationals a couple of years ago in this class, beat a world-class field on that day at Las Vegas. Back in a 2-kart Soddy kart team with the 2009 world champion Arno Kozlinski as the green flag flies. The engines fire into life. This is going to be something else. Anthony Abbas had fantastic form in the pre-final. He had that Soddy kart hooked up and flying. He will start from pole position if he can get a good, clean getaway. I'm going to suggest they're not going to see which way he went. This is the grid. Abbas alongside the Brit Jordan Lennox Lamb. Then it's Marco Ardigo alongside Luca Corberi. This super young talent from the Netherlands, Marijn Kremers in the Birrell Art out of 5. With the Ricardo kart driver, Rick Driesen, out of 6. On the 4th row of the grid, we've got Jorrit Pex. And how about Alexander Schmitz from Germany in the number 48 Tony kart, fastest lap of the pre-final. He starts out of 8. Patrick Hayek in the Praga out of 9. And then David Foray, the 5 times world champion, out of grid number 10. Paolo De Conto, winner of 2 heat races yesterday, is alongside the 2012 world champion Flavio Camponeschi. Christian Habulin in the Modena-powered Tibi kart is alongside Bas Lemmers on the 7th row of the grid. Then we go all the way back to the 8th row for the fastest qualifier. Jorge Pescadore is alongside Arno Kozlinski. Mirko Tossalini in the 2nd Ricardo kart is alongside Alessio Piccini. Douglas Lundberg is alongside Simo Puhaka, who starts out of grid number 20. Simo, though, from Finland, actually stood on the podium at the opening round of the WSK Supermaster Series at Adria Raceway just a few short weeks ago. Onto the back straight. Heat not only into the tyres, as much as they're going to get, but also into the engines and gearboxes. 6-speed gearboxes for these karts, of course. Coming down into the hotel hairpin right now. Marco Ardigo absolutely annihilated the field at the opening round of the Supermaster Series, but he struggled here in qualifying. was way back on the 6th row of the grid for the heats yesterday, but has recovered. He's up into 3rd. Very different conditions. That's Anthony Abbas, the Saudi cart, alongside the Birrell Art. We know all these teams, some of them not at the track, but they're watching us live on wsk.it. Welcome to wherever you're watching us all around the world. This is the final KZ2, the second round of the WSK Super Master Series. Out of the goal with a practice start. There's Arno Kozlinski in the number 43 Saudi cart, the right of your screen. Behind Bas Lammers in the Formula K cart. Jordan Lennox Lamb, watch out for a rocket start for the young Brit in the Birrell Art to the right of your screen. If Anthony Abbas gets a good start, I think it could be race over by the end of lap 1. 4 red lights. Indeed, Marco Ardigo up the inside. Anthony Abbas, as we predicted, rockets into the lead going into turn 1. The track still soaking wet despite the fact the rain has stopped. There's Abbas leading from Ardigo, and Jordan Lennox Lamb muscles his way up the inside of the Italian. Ardigo will not be happy with that. It is a 20-lap race. This is only 5 corners into it. Look at the gap already. Anthony Abbas. Wow! He's done half a lap in the most competitive field in world karting. And look, he's already put 3 or 4 kart lengths on Jordan Lennox Lamb. But the style in which he's done it is what's noteworthy. He's super, super aggressive and he's fast. That's Luca Corberi. Number 7 in the Tony kart. Behind his teammate Marco Ardigo. Jordan Lennox Lamb in the Birrell Art. Just trying to hold them up. There's your race leader, Anthony Abbas. They'll come across the line for the first time. A standing lap time of 1 minute 5 of Ardi, as Ardigo ducks down the inside, takes the Brit. Jordan Lennox Lamb has to concede the place. Now Luca Corberi is behind him. David Foray is now up into 5th place. Fantastic start from 10th on the grid. That's him in the black CRG cart. Flavio Camponeschi in 10th spot behind Rick Driesen. There's Foray coming onto the back straight now. He's got this super young Dutch talent, Marijn Kremers, behind him in 6th. There's Foray behind Luca Corberi. Anthony Abbas, look how, I'll say erratic, but it's not erratic as in he's got no control. He knows exactly what he's doing. Over the ripple strip, Ardigo is actually closing in a little bit now. He's got a sensational style, does the Frenchman. Ardigo has closed the gap noticeably though. Abbas knew that he wouldn't have the race his own way. He probably figured if anyone's going to challenge him, it's going to be the reigning world champion, as Luca Corberi goes up the inside of Jordan Lennox Lamb. Is now Tony Kart 2nd and 3rd. The Birrell Art is back and forth, but it's the Saudi Kart who's leading. No surprise there. Marco Ardigo with the fastest lap of the race. Anthony Abbas settles down a little bit. Ardigo qualified woefully. He said there was nothing wrong with the kart, he just wasn't quick enough. Well, hey, he's quick enough now. He's in 2nd spot, fastest lap of the race. That's his teammate Luca Corberi. Jordan Lennox Lamb sideways under braking into the T-kart sweeper, down into the hotel hairpin. David Foray now getting to the back of Jordan Lennox Lamb. That's Anthony Abbas over the ripple strip. It's not the cleanest style, but it's fantastic to watch, and it's very, very fast. Anthony Abbas wheel spins out of the corner in that Saudi kart powered by the TM. Every driver here this weekend on the Vega tyre, of course. Across the line for the 3rd time goes the Frenchman. He leads the Italian. Flicks it in sideways, drops it back a gear, uses the engine braking to slow it up a little bit. Ardigo closes in noticeably under brakes, but Abbas gets the power down, uses every bit of the ripple strip. Turns right onto the back straight now. This is where he gets the power down. Ardigo, though, is in his slipstream. Flicks it sideways, engine braking at the back straight. Down into the hotel hairpin. Coming up the lakeside straight. The lake is just on their left. Sparks flying up that Tony Kart chassis of Marco Ardigo. the reigning world champion. He will attempt to defend that title in the start of September at Le Mans in France. Anthony Abbas, though, he says, hey, that race is on my home turf. I'm a Frenchman in a French kart. The World Championships will be on a French track. And he's got to be one of the favourites for that race. You saw, unfortunately, the parked kart of Alexander Schmitz, the number 48 KSM Racing Tony kart at the top of your screen a few moments ago. Bad luck for the young German. 24 years of age from Dusseldorf in Germany. His fourth year of top-level international KZ competition. He set the fastest lap of the pre-final. He was absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately, he's parked and he's out of this pre-final. Corberi still in third spot as Ardigo gets very close to the back of Abbas. The Frenchman gets the power down. Look at Ardigo, he's all over the back of him. Anthony Abbas is not intimidated at all. Corberi in third, still from Jordan Lennox. Lamb 4A holds down fifth. Fantastic start by the Dutchman. Bas Lemmers, who's made up 8 spots, he sits in 6th place. Abbas definitely does not have the cleanest, smoothest style, but it's sensational to watch, and it is fast. He's just awesome to watch, particularly in conditions like this, when the karts move around so much more than they do in the dry. This is the 6th lap up the back straight. In the dry, they're touching 144 kilometres an hour. Not quite that quick in the wet, but still very, very quick. Ardigo takes the high line. I think he's got the speed now. I think he's now quicker than Abbas. But he's going to have to find a way past, and that's not an easy thing. He takes the high line. Abbas loses a little bit of momentum as he splashes through the puddle there, over the ripple strip, hooks the inside left. Good acceleration that time out from the Soddy kart pilot. Lemmers in 6th spot. He leads his countryman, Marijn Kremers. Behind them, it's Flavio Camponeschi and Rick Driesen in the Ricardo kart in 9th spot. Didn't have the best start to the Belgian. Remember, this is only his 4th day driving the Ricardo kart. He is quite happy with it. Imagine when he's done some testing. Paolo Di Conto outside the top 10 in 11th. The gap opens up a little bit as Ardigo loses a little bit of momentum, closes in under brakes. Is really, really good under brakes, in fact. But Anthony Abbas, are we going to see a new winner in 2015? Marco Ardigo dominated the first round at Adria Karting Raceway 3 weeks ago. Anthony Abbas, the Frenchman, in the French-made Soddy kart. 7 laps down, Ardigo closes up again. That's the kart of Alexander Schmitz, the top right of your screen. Unfortunately, he's out. Luca Corberi, that's Jordan Lennox Lamb, back ahead of David Foray. Foray to the very back of the Brit. How he didn't touch him, I do not know. Foray is in 5th spot. He's made up 5 places from his grid 10 starting position. Flavio Camponeschi, he started grid 12, he's now up into 7th. Ardigo goes a little bit wide, tries to get grip out wide. Once again, closes in under brakes. Sideways, front right in the air under acceleration. Anthony Abbas, well, he's just sideways everywhere, but he's still fast. Powered by this TM. Ardigo with the Vortex engine, of course. Took him to the World Championship at Sarno last September. Sparks flying off the back of the Soddy kart. Sensational scenes here at Castelletto di Branduzzo. You see the kart of Abbas twitch sideways as he uses engine braking to slow it down. There's Jordan Lennox Lamb still ahead of David Foray. It looks as though Flavio Camponeschi has got the better of Bas Lemmers. Flavio now up into 6th place. Marijn Kremers in 8th as the rain returns here at Castelletto di Branduzzo. halfway through the final, this KZ2 category. Abbas is sideways even in a straight line. Ardigo has a bit of a look there. Abbas knows he's there because he can hear him. Takes a tight line. Ardigo did drop off a few moments ago, but he's right back on the tail of the Frenchman. To the left of your screen, that's the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. Ardigo up the inside. He's gone through and taken the lead. Half race distance. Abbas responds side by side into turn 1. Just sensational. The Frenchman versus the Italian. The Slotty Kart versus the Tony Kart. Abbas responded straight away. Ardigo made his move. Well, at least he's let Anthony know he's there. He means business. As if he didn't know that though. Marco Ardigo struggled in qualifying. He's got a run on him up the back straight on the inside. Abbas shuts the door. They're going to be side by side. Ardigo is better under brakes. Abbas with a look over the shoulder. There's no one behind you, Anthony. There's just a green Tony Kart in front of you. Marco Ardigo, one of the best racing drivers in the world in any category at all, has now retaken the lead. He qualified in 12th. He did recover throughout the heats to be in 4th and 5th. Started this final in 3rd. Let's have a look at the replay. He got the slipstream. He got the run. Abbas tried to turn in. He tried to hold him out. They did not touch. Super clean racing from two of the best kart racers in the world. Marco Ardigo. There's Abbas having a look over the shoulder. And look at the gap that Ardigo's opened up already. It's out to 0.9 of a second at half race distance. Ardigo did win the first round of the series at Adria, but that was on a dry track. Very different conditions here at Castelletto di Branduzzo. Down through the gearbox. Very smooth under brakes. Abbas, by contrast, just throws it in sideways and gets it stopped any way he can. Can the Frenchman respond with 10 laps remaining? Fastest lap of the race goes to this man on screen, Marco Ardigo. 1 minute 2.7. So about 16 seconds a lap off their dry weather qualifying times. Twitches sideways under brakes. Can Abbas respond? The gap is out to 2.3 seconds in 2 laps. Luca Corberi, 3rd spot. Then it's Jordan Lennox-Lamb, David Foray, Flavio Camponeschi on screen. He's trying to defend from the Dutchman Bas Lemmers in the Formula K kart. Number 12, the former World Cup winner in this very category. A look over the shoulder from Marco Ardigo. Where is Anthony Abbas? Marco, he's 2.3 seconds behind you now. There he is. The number 44, the Slotty Kart, the chassis that won the World Championship with David Terrien at Laval way back in 1993. That's how long it's been since Slotty Kart has stood on the top step of the World Championship podium. They've won countless national and international races since, but the World Championships on their home circuit of Le Mans in France in September is the one they're aiming for. Marco Ardigo, he's been there and done that. He won it at Sano in September of last year. Luca Corberi, solid in 3rd spot. Jordan Lennox-Lamb for Birol Art. Flavio Camponeschi behind him. Now up into 5th ahead of Bas Lemmers. Foray in 7th. Ahead of the young Dutchman Marijn Kremers. The yellow flag's out, as you can see. Arno Kozlinski, by contrast, is way down in 16th spot. He's one ahead of Lorenzo Complesse. Mirko Torsalini in the Riccardo kart is a retirement, as is Paolo Di Conto. Have a look at Anthony Abbas, just sensational to watch. The most electrifying driving style out there on the circuit. The smoothest though is this man, and it's the quickest too. He set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 2.7. 2/10 of a second quicker than every other driver on the track. It's only Marco and Anthony Abbas that are in the 1 minute 2 second bracket. Every other driver 1 minute 3 and beyond. There's Rick Driesen in the Ricardo kart. Really smooth style from Marco. What a recovery for the Tony Kart racing team. To say he was despondent on Friday after qualifying is an understatement. He had no excuse. He just said we weren't quick enough. He was like 12th or 13th in qualifying. The kart looked good when the stopwatch came out. It wasn't happening for Marco, but it is when it counts. Well, we saw Carol Bash take a win at both Adria and here at Castelletto. Will we see Marco do the same as Luca Tilovka gets out the way in the Intrepid kart? He's getting lapped, but moves out the way of the leaders. It's actually pulling into pit lane as we speak. Abbas comes through. Up over the ripple strip. There's not one that he's missed around this circuit all weekend. There's actually a few bumps on this circuit, particularly going into turn 1, which are disguised a little bit in this wet weather. But in the dry, it was very, very noticeable going through turn 1. The third blue ripple strip, the track drops away around about 1.5 centimetres. In the wet, they just roll through. That's Luca Gaberi in third spot. This is a move for fourth. It looks as though it might have been Flavio Camponeschi on Jordan Lennox Lamb. The Brit, no response. Three-quarter race distance for the hardest working team and driver in the world of kart racing, Marco Ardigo. They live at the racetrack just about. Super dedicated. First ones here in the morning, just about last ones to leave at night almost. Success does not come by accident. It's just constant development for the Tony Kart racing team. Marco Ardigo, the #1 driver. Flavio Camponeschi, a great recovery from the other Tony Kart team driver. He is in fourth spot behind his teammate, the newest member of the TK racing team, Luca Corberi, who currently sits on the third step of the podium. Jordan Lennox Lamb has dropped back to fifth spot. Bas Lammers from 14th is now up into 6th. Hasn't had the best weekend, but in the rain, it's all counting for the Dutchman. Multinational and international champion is Bas Lammers, nephew of former Formula 1 driver Jan Lammers. Bas across the line. Here's Luca Corberi, possibly the tallest driver racing in the KZ class. There's Flavio Camponeschi, slams that gearbox down. 6th, 5th, 4th, accelerates back up again into 5th gear. 6th gear for this man though, on the back straight. As we mentioned, they were touching 144 kilometres an hour in the dry. Surprising given that this is not the fastest circuit on the WSK calendar. Marco looks behind him. He has to look back 4.5 seconds to see the Frenchman Anthony Abbas. Three and a half laps to go. I can't see Marco making a mistake now, nor this man. Anthony Abbas takes the tight line, willing all the way back for Luca Corberi. He's 6 seconds further behind. Flavio Camponeschi's half a chance to hunt down his teammate though. It's not going to be a Tony Kart 1, 2, 3 because this man on screen, Anthony Abbas, is going to spoil that. There's Luca Corberi and there's Flavio Camponeschi. His Italian teammate is in his sights. Well, if it wasn't for the Frenchman Anthony Abbas in the Sodi kart, it would be a Tony Kart clean sweep. As it stands, they are 1st, 3rd and 4th. Only broken up by the Sodi kart of Abbas. The rain eases up, as you can see. Still soaking wet. 2.5 laps to go. Foray still sits in 6th spot. He's defending that from the brilliant young Dutchman Marijn Kremers, 24 years younger than him. David Foray, 40 years of age. Marijn Kremers, 16. But with that 40 years comes a lot of experience and 5 world championships. You can have all the youth in the world, but you trade it any day to have the record that David Foray has. Driesen in 8th spot in the Ricardo car, ahead of Bas Lemmers, who's now dropped back to 9th. Fantastic drive to be in the top 10 now. Douglas Lundberg, Simon Puhaka started out of grid 20. He's now up into 11th. Ahead of Andreas Bachmann, Joret Pex, Patrick Hayek, and Arno Kozlinski in 15th spot. You can see at the bottom right of your screen, Douglas Lindberg from Sweden in 10th spot. That's a great result for the Cosmic pilot this year with the official Cosmic racing team. A lap and a half to go for this man. Well, we were wrong. We thought Anthony Abbas would walk away with this race, and it wasn't for Marco Artigo, he probably would, because Anthony Abbas has got a 7-second lead over third place Luca Corberti. But how do you stop this man? He starts his final tour right now, 1,256 meters to go for the man who stood on the top of the podium more than anyone else in this KZ class over the past 12 months. He's on track to defend that World Championship he won at Sarno last September. On to the back straight for the final time. A look over the shoulder. Anthony Abbas is 6 seconds behind you, Marco. He's not going to catch you. Into the hotel hairpin. Gently down the gearbox for the final time. This one's under control. Tony Kart, Vortex, Vega. Looking at their second consecutive victory. Two corners to go now for the reigning world champion. Through the left and right, the checkered flag comes out. The winner from Italy, Marco Artigo. He wins it. Anthony Abbas will cross the line in second spot. The gap was down to 4 seconds in the end, but Marco did ease up. And taking third with a fantastic drive, Flavio Camponeschi from 12th on the grid dislodges his teammate to come home in third. Great effort by Luca Corberti to finish in 4th. Nevertheless, Jordan Lennox-Lamb from Great Britain did finish in 5th spot, ahead of David Foray, Marijn Kremers, Rick Driesen, Bas Lemmers, and a great result by Douglas Lundberg to round out the top 10. Well, on Friday, when he qualified 12th, he didn't think he'd be standing on the top step of the podium, but that's what he's about to do. Marco Artigo, what can you say about this man? Moreover, how can you stop him as the rest of the field comes through? That's Andrea Dalle, ahead of Stan Pex, Alessio Puccini, Christian Hapolin in the Tipi Kart, ahead of Fabian Federer, who admits that he doesn't like the wet conditions, proven by the fact that he comes home in 22nd position. Bad luck for the 2011 European champion. There's your results. Marco Artigo wins it by 4 seconds from the Frenchman. Great drive by Anthony Abbas, and a great result for Flavio Camponeschi. He's a new man in 2015. From 12th on the grid, he finishes third. Bad luck for Luca Corberti, taken on the last lap by his teammate in 4th spot. Jordan Lennox-Lamb was 5th, ahead of David Foray, Kremers, Driesen, Bas Lemmers, and as we mentioned, Douglas Lundberg rounding out the top 10. We'll have the podium presentation for you in just a few moments. Non-finishers De Conto, Torsellini, Alexander Schmitz, unfortunately, the driver from Dusseldorf, and Inskalski also. This was the start. Abbas got a rocket off the line. Artigo on the inside of Jordan Lennox-Lamb, who went high, just kept the boot into it. He had no choice, but Artigo was up the inside. He tried to fight back the best he could. Abbas, very different driving style. It took ages for Artigo to go through, but eventually he did with that move right there. Abbas did retake it, albeit briefly, up the start-finish straight. Artigo tried again. This time he succeeded. Abbas tried valiantly to hold him out. They did not touch. Super racing, and that was the last the Frenchman saw of this man, Marco Ardigo, who went on to take a sensational win. 2 wins out of 2 starts for the reigning world champion. Marco Ardigo wins it from the Frenchman, Anthony Abbas, and in 3rd spot, Flavio Camponeschi. We will have the podium presentation in just a few moments. Stay with us. You're watching the WSK Supermaster Series live from Castelletto di Branduzzo right here on WSK.it. Stay with us for the podium presentations in just a few moments. Well, the rain has eased up for our final podium presentation. Thanks for joining us for the WSK Supermaster Series, the KZ2 Final. In 3rd place, in terzo posto, Flavio Camponeschi. In 2nd, de la France per le Sodicat, Anthony Abbas. The winner, il vincitore di nuovo, Marco Ardigo! The 3rd place trophy for Flavio Camponeschi. Second place for Anthony Abbas. And the winner for the second round in the row, Marco Ardigo. We now stand by for the national anthem of Italy. Your podium for the KZ2 class, Marco Ardigo, Anthony Abbas, and Flavio Camponeschi. Despite the conditions, thanks for joining us here at Castelletto di Branduzzo. We'll see you for the third round of the WSK Supermaster Series, La Conca Muro Lecesi, April 10. Ci vediamo per il terzo prova WSK Supermaster Series alla Conca, aprile 10.
Yeah.